and I'm gonna hand it over to Britt. Go for it.
You're muted, Britt.
Oh, this time it's my fault. It's not Shay's fault. Will you let me share my screen? Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Like everybody else, I have 10 million tabs open, so ignore all that. All right, so when Shay asked me to talk, I don't know, I just had a hard time like narrowing it down as to what I felt like I needed to talk about. So I literally just took the busy season that I just walked through and tried to narrow down all the lessons that I learned. And honestly, there were just a few that like really held true throughout this whole busy season. And so just wanted to share like how consistency in life in general is like super important, but also like especially in this business, especially in the busy seasons, and like being consistent in the things that matter and that matter to you, and to your people and the girls that are on your team. So I wasn't sure who was going to be here and who knows me, so I thought I'd do like a little intro. So like Shay said, I work full time. I work as a nurse. I work 4 10-hour shifts a week, so I'm pretty busy throughout the week, and then have 3 days off a week. But I also am married. I've been married for 3 years now. We don't have any kids yet, so hopefully soon we'll add that busyness to our life, but we're not quite there yet. Also have grown up in church. Like that's definitely been a huge part of my story, and grew up, actually my grandparents introduced me to church, and so that holds a sweet spot in my heart. But eventually my family's gone, and I was introduced to my husband at church, and we've known each other for 10 years. So fitness has always been a huge part of my life too. Grew up playing sports. I played basketball, volleyball, track. I did it all. Never played in high school or anything like that. So at that point, I was left to kind of figure out fitness on my own. And that's kind of where I feel like my story and what led me to coaching started. So this is kind of a progression of my story over 8 years probably. So when I left high school, I was like, I don't know what to do fitness wise. And so I got into running. I got into like trying to figure out what was going to work for me. And I just kind of took it into my own control. And it wasn't until I found this team that I was able to really surrender it back to the Lord and say, all right, God, you use this however you want to use it. Like take my fitness journey for me, or take this fitness journey that I'm walking in and just make it yours. And so in college, I went through a really tough time of just like, it wasn't surrender to the Lord. It was just whatever I wanted it to be. And it was really a lot of comparison. And just, I was stuck in a spot where I'm like, do I really have to live here for the rest of my life? Because this is so defeating, lacking joy. And it was really just to satisfy like the things that the world tells us that we need to crave. So the picture on the left is at like my lowest spot, and I can just tell it like in how I look and in my face, and just like I look back through pictures of that time and I'm like, there's no joy there. Like it's really just striving, and that's where I was at my lowest spot. Thankfully, family came alongside me. God brought me out of that situation, and there's a lot more to that goes to that story. But just kind of what led me to this community was like, I need something more. Like I need to find freedom in my fitness journey, and I need to surrender it to God. And I just want to find joy and confidence. Like that's why my team's name is Confident in Him. That literally just came to me. There's no story. When I became a coach, I was like, I need to come up with a name. And that's like the first thing that popped to my head. And so that's what stuck, and that's where I'm at. So just building confidence through this journey and through who God makes us to be. So why coaching? This took me forever, like to decide that I wanted to coach. And I know that most of us on here, like there were lots of hesitations and reasons why we felt like we couldn't be a coach, like we didn't have a story. I was in that spot. Like, I was like, I definitely am not bold enough. I'm definitely not confident enough. Like, what is my story even? Like, who's going to listen? Like, everyone was just to hear that like weight loss transformation story. That's what a coach is for. Like, the coaches that I had seen, you know, they had this huge, amazing transformation. And I was like, I don't really have that. And I don't know how to share that. And people aren't going to want to join me because I'm not, you know, a fitness expert or a fitness coach. And I don't have the boldness to do it. But something I prayed about a lot before joining and becoming a coach was like, God, how do you want me to use my story? And like, how could I come from where I was to where I am now? And I know that's only in, you know, who God had made me to be and who he had, well, like what he had freed me from. And so I was like, if I can just help one person find the freedom that I found in my journey, like this whole coaching thing is worth it. And that is really what's carried me through most of my coaching journey, is like when there's the setbacks and the times where people say no. And I don't know, I've been defeated a lot of times, and like my purpose partners know that, and I've brought that to them and they've prayed over me in that. And like, I just have to come back to this why. Like, if I can just help that one person, that one woman find freedom from where I, like the same place where I was, like it's totally worth it because it's changed my life. And just finding a community to come alongside me and support me has been amazing. So from the beginning of my coaching journey, which was end of July of last year, to now, so about 10 months, like there's been a huge transformation in just how I run my business, but just in how like I've just surrendered it all. So I'd say at the very beginning, like the majority of what I was doing was striving to look like someone else, like to measure up what I was doing in my business or in my community to like the top coaches. I'm like, their stuff looks so pretty and so like put together. And honestly, I don't know, it just wasn't joyful for me right at the beginning, because it felt like I was like, I need to hit these numbers and I need to look like this person or things like that. And so that was really hard, because like at the beginning, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of success right off the bat unless you're like really putting in all that time. And so I just had to realize that like this is a journey, and this is something that it's going to be in God's timing, not mine. So I'd say like 5 months in, I started to realize like my team looks different than anybody else's team. Like every person on here, like your team is going to look so much different than the person sitting next to you or next to you on this call. Like my people don't look like Courtney's girls or Shay's girls. Like we all have the desire to be healthy and fit and to like glorify God with our bodies. But at the same time, like we're in all different stages of life. Like a lot of my girls are nurses, which just ironically happened. I have quite a few college students which is crazy to me. Like that's how that happened, because that's where I was at my lowest. And so just being able to reach out and pour into them and love them has been so cool. And honestly, a lot of moms, and I don't know how that happened, but that's God's like timing and his provision, because it's been really cool how they've poured into me too. Like, because we're in different seasons of life, even though like I'm their coach, like really we're just friends. And so that's my favorite thing about like my personal community. So I really just started pouring into them, like sharing life with them. We would text back and forth like my girls, and we just really get to know each other. We started running like fun challenges like the Besties Boot Camp and like teaming up for March Madness. And that was just really cool to like grow in community more than just I'm pouring into this to make a sale or things like that. And so I finally started to see my business kind of turn a corner. And it didn't really, I mean, I always say this, but like, and I know Shay does too, but like, it doesn't always feel like work, because it's so fun to just pour into people and love on them and get to know them and grow community. So I'd say now, like I'm seeing growth, not because I'm doing a lot more, like obviously as you get further along, like Instagram stories, posts, those kinds of things become more natural. Like that's what took me the longest in the beginning. But now I feel like I'm not doing more. I'm just being more intentional with my people that I already have on my team, and loving them well. So this, I would say like March through May is like our family's super busy season. And what that means is like our family owns 20 greenhouses, and we sell all kinds of plants and vegetables and all of that. And so on my off days, which I only have 3 off days, and the only off day I was taking was Sunday. So the days I had off, I was going up there and helping for 12-hour days, planting, growing, like whatever they needed me to do. And I love that. Like that's part of who I am. And that's part of my story since we've been married. But just cool to work with your family and be able to just pour into something that's not your day-to-day job. Like sometimes, and I know Nikki will agree with me, like being a nurse is hard and you're like always continually pouring into people and you just need a break sometimes. And so like I would get outside and have fun and just get my hands dirty. And so I just started sharing about that in my stories a lot because that was just part of my life at that time. But I really didn't know how I was going to manage full-time job, working part-time, like up at the business and running this business, like all at the same time. I was like, it's just going to be a slow month. Like, I'm just gonna have to take it. Like for these 3 months, I'm probably just not going to hit Success Club. Like, I'm just going to have to be okay with that. And honestly, I was fine with that because I knew I was where I needed to be. And, you know, if it wasn't my season of flourishing in this business, I knew I was flourishing at home, like in our family business and, you know, pouring into there. So I just let it all go and just started praying about it and surrendering it to God. And like, I was like, God, if this is what you want me to be doing, like, help me find the time to be pouring into this business. If it's something that you're wanting me to be pursuing, even though life is crazy. And so what life looked like during this season was I was working my 4 days at the surgery center, coming home, trying to get coach work in. First, this season, my husband really wasn't home until like 9 o'clock at night. So I was able to really pour in those evenings. And I was just, you know, showing up for team call, getting my tracker done, and just doing what I could in that time. And like in breaks in my day, I was texting my girls, checking in on them, seeing how they were doing. And then on the days that we were up at the business, like I was just there. I mean, I was posting on my stories, but that was probably it. And so I just tried to stay as consistent as possible. And it didn't look like what I wanted it to, I guess, ideally. So not like an hour set every day to like sit down and do it. Like I love routine and that would have been ideal, but that just didn't happen in this season. So, and I still took my Sundays off because I knew that was important, like to just be at church and be pouring into a church family. And then that was just my day of rest. But the season was really busy, but it was also super fruitful. And it was like the most fruitful season I've ever seen in my business. And I can't really take credit for that. I feel like I just have to like say that was totally God. So just an encouragement, like, I don't know whatever seasons you guys are walking through, but busy seasons are going to come like in all of our lives, whether that's like you have a baby, that's a really busy season. Like I've watched Liella walk through that, and that's been so cool just to see how she's run her business in that time. We walk through like family struggles and health struggles, and I just was encouraged like in that time, like we have a choice. We can either like really be brought down by the stress that's going on around us, or we can just choose to find joy and like peace in where we're at in those moments. And so like I just had to remember in this season, like I'm just here to do what the Lord has me to do. And so even if that's, you know, 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there and a text here and a text there, like at least I'm doing something and I'm praying over it. And you know, what's going to come out of that is all him. So I love the verse in 1 Thessalonians. It says, always be joyful, never stop praying, and be thankful in all circumstances. Just reminds me, like, I'm one of those people, like, I'm a bullet point person. So I'm like, be joyful, always pray, like, be thankful in all circumstances. And that just like rings through my head all the time. And I wouldn't say it's my life verse, but it's definitely something that's stuck in my brain throughout every season that I've walked through, whether it's been this busy season or currently I'm walking through like dealing with an injury and not being able to work out like I want to. And that's really hard for me, but I'm just, you know, I have that ringing through my head, and that's, you know, always be joyful, never stop praying, and be thankful in all circumstances. And it just keeps you grounded, like to have that mindset. So just to encourage you guys, like whatever season you're walking through, you have a choice to either let the chaos get to you and like bring you down and demotivate you, or it can be the motivator. Like I'm busy, like in my circumstance, like I was busy because I was pouring into my family at that time, but I was just sharing my journey along the way. And so I learned a lot in that season, a lot about prioritization. And I broke this up into like 2 parts because I wanted to break up like what, what is priority in my life. And then when it comes to this business, like what I prioritized when I was in this busy season. But like always, of course, like our relationship with Christ is a huge priority, friends and family. And for those of us that work full-time jobs, like sometimes I have to like turn notifications off and just put my phone away when it comes to this business when I'm at my job, because you have to be focused on the people around you and loving and serving your, whether it's patients, coworkers, whatever that is. I've definitely walked through seasons where I've ignored the people around me because I've been on my phone, and I've had to learn like that's not okay the hard way, whether that's like my husband being like, hey, put your phone down. But also like it just takes time to learn, like you really have to be pouring into the people around you as well, and your church family and your coworkers and all that. And also like your health journey, like you have to be showing up in your own personal health journey, whether that's like, for me, it's like staying active just gives me energy and gives me life. And then I can pour better into the people around me, but also like nutrition and like focusing on the things that are fueling me and my personal walk with that. And just helping me to live the life that I'm called to live. But then when it comes to like the business itself, I feel like the tracker gets overwhelming to me sometimes. And even the tracker that I've created for myself, because I can't find one that works for me. It's got like 20 boxes for each day. And sometimes that's super overwhelming. So in this season of super busy, I like focused on 3 things. And it was really just staying in communication with my girls that are on my team, getting to know them better, like not just fitness related, like actually life related, like asking them how I could pray for them or encouraging them in whatever season they were walking through. And also making sure like you're pouring into your bod group or group me or whatever you have, like you are the voice of your community. Like at the start, like it takes time for the girls to start encouraging each other. Like my team isn't even like really to that point yet. I feel like we're just showing up and that's encouraging, but like there's not a lot of talk back and forth. So I'm just making sure I'm commenting on people's stuff, encouraging them, trying to check in with them if I haven't seen them in a while, or that's a priority for me when it comes to my business. And then obviously inviting is the only thing that's really going to move this business forward. When it comes to like getting people to join your team, you have to be willing to invite, but what comes with that is like getting through your inbox, your connections, like connecting with people, because that's how you're going to relate to them. That's how they're going to trust you. And like, that's how it's more natural to invite. I've learned, like, I used to send the just plain old text invites to people who are watching my stuff, but I've noticed so much more fruit from like getting to know people, getting to hear their story, getting to like hear what season they're walking through. So like I just was talking to a girl today that was like, I knew she had walked through financial stuff in the past and she wasn't ready to commit. And so like, I'll just keep coming back to her, but like we're talking in between those months that I haven't invited her. And so just getting to know people, hear where they're at. And then, when the time is right, or if the time's ever right, like that's the time to invite. So I just made sure like staying up with inbox and, getting to know people was like a huge priority for me. I'm sad that Leella's not here. So find your people when it comes to this business, because that's been one of the huge, like the biggest motivators for me and staying consistent. Like we literally always have group chats going. Like we have a purpose partners group chat that goes back and forth between me, Leella, and Courtney. And those are my girls. That's when we all started around the same time. That's just our group that we formed. And then we're always like, if you look at these messages, like maybe 25% of this is about the business and the rest of it is just like life and sharing life with each other. Because I think when we make this all about the business, like we lose the joy in it, because it gets so nitty gritty into like, what are you inviting to? Or like, what struggles are you having? Really, we want to just share like, where does God have you right now? How can we be praying for you? Like, that's why I love when we do the Bible studies and things like that, because we really get to pour into each other on the faith side of things and the life side of things. But also like when you know that these people are supporting you in life, obviously they're also here supporting you in the business too. And just, they want to see you grow and meet your people and see you have success in your business too, because that we know that that's what's important to each other. So on that same note, like being together at events is huge. Like right before, like literally maybe the week before our busy season hit and our family business was team retreat. And so we got to go out and just be together with the whole team and just grow and learn. And I think a lot of the community aspect of it is what held me through and taught me, like, why am I showing up every day? Like, why do I choose to still make this business a priority even when life gets crazy? And it's because of our purpose behind the business, like whatever your why might be. We all, like, one of my favorite sessions at team retreat was like sitting down and writing out our why and like what our vision was for our business itself. And it just really helped me solidify, like, why am I showing up every day? Like, why do I do that when times get tough or times get busy? Why am I still showing up here? And I think what draws me so much to this specific community is like our mission is all similar, even though we have different, like, I would say we all have the same vision, but we all have different whys. And those can be ever changing, but just getting to be together with women who have the same purpose and the same passion, and reading our Bibles together, working out together, and just talking life together was so encouraging to me going into this season. And so that was huge for me. So if you have not been to an in-person event, which I've only been to one, so I can't talk a whole lot, but there are some that are coming up in the future. And so just make it a priority for you. Like, if you want to grow in this community and get to know more people, like, being at these events is huge. And I'm literally one of the most introverted people ever. And I probably sat back in the corner and just watched a lot at team retreat, but it was just so cool to see, like, all these people connecting from all different places. Like, we were from all over the states, and just getting to know each other and hear our desire to be there. And I don't know, it was just so cool. I would say, though, out of all the things, the biggest thing I've learned is just to love on your people. And I think one of the biggest things, like, about our group specifically is, like, we're not focused on the sale. I would hope, like, our vision is just to help people and to help them get healthy and find joy in fitness again. Like, that is my story, and that's why I joined this team. Like, Shay didn't ask anything of me. I literally joined her team, and I didn't pay for anything. I just jumped onto her team. And so, like, it's the community aspect of things. It's like really realizing why we're here. So I have learned, like, I'm not just here to sign people up for this fitness experience or whatever. I'm not here to sign them up and then forget about them. I'm here to be their friend. And that is what has made all the difference for me. I feel like just getting to know my girls, getting to hear, like, where they're from. I really need to write these things down because I get really bad about forgetting where people are from, but, like, I feel like I know their story. And so that really sticks with me. And the girls that are consistent and have been here for a while, like, we, like, really, like, I feel like we've met for coffee, and I feel like we've gotten to know each other so well. And I can say the same, like, about you guys, like, in the ways we've shared our stories and gotten to know each other. Like, when Courtney and Shay and I met in person, like, it didn't feel any different than, like, we had been talking all the time. Like, I feel like we already knew each other. So it's just so cool when you find your people, as far as customers or your coaches or whatever that join your team. Make it your goal to, like, be their friend, because I don't think they think we're going to reach out to them. Like, I think they think that we're just going to, like, set them up with all the things and then just kind of let them run with it. But it's so cool to just walk alongside of them in this journey too. Practically, I will say getting started right calls are essential, and that's really what's moved my business forward. And what that looks like is, when anybody signs up and joins my team, I message them and say, hey, you want to jump on a call? Like, let's just talk about your journey, where you're at, and how I can best serve you in this, or how I can best get you set up with everything that you need. And these are so cool. I try and take a picture every time. And a lot of them aren't Zoom calls. Like, sometimes they're just phone calls when I'm driving in the car. But it's so cool to just, like, see someone face to face and get to talk to them and get to hear their struggles with, whether that's been health and fitness or nutrition, or I've had lots of girls that, like, mental health has been something that's really hard for them, and they want to get, active again so that they can, get on top of that as well. And I think it all goes together. And so just getting to know them, getting to hear their story, but also it helps you literally get them set up with everything that they need. Like, talked about them about what they like what program they're going to fit best with. And it doesn't have to be, like, a specific, like, you can give them options. And that's what I do for all my girls. It's like, what do you like to do? And here's like 5 programs you can choose from, or 3 programs. Like, you check them out, see what you think, and you run with it. And so they might hop around, but at least I know that I've given them, the resources that they need. It's also like a good time to like share about products and things that have worked for me, and why I like Shakeology and why I like Energize. Like, whatever product that they choose to sign up with, at least you can talk to them about it, because they're less likely to get excited about it if you're not excited about it. And so I know we all love our products, so sharing that with them and getting them excited too. And these don't have to be long, like literally 15-20 minutes. I think my longest one has been half an hour. And honestly sticking with that, because we are all busy and more than 30 minutes is probably going to be encroaching on your schedule and the things that you need to get done. So like, set that precedent, like, hey, let's talk from 5 to 5:30 on my drive to work, or whatever that might be. I will say I've seen that consistent challengers in my group have become the ones that have become like discount coaches. And so, funny story, jumping back to the busy season, like I said, I was content with like nobody signing up. Like, if I just stay consistent, continue to share my journey, like I'll hop back on it after the busy season. So what happened was, I signed up a coworker and she was like super excited. Like, she was sharing her journey on Instagram. And so I was like, she was tagging me. So I was sharing her stuff. And she had all of these friends come to her and be like, what are you doing? Like, it looks like you have so much joy behind what you're doing. And she was literally just posting a sweaty selfie every day, and saying like what day of MBF she had done. And so I was like encouraging her. Obviously, we worked together, so I saw her a lot. I was like, hey, like, I obviously brought up coaching. I was like, hey, you should do this. And she just wasn't in the season for it. So she was literally bringing me all these people. She's like, hey, like, this person wants to sign up. Hey, this person wants to sign up. I think I signed 4 of her friends up. And it was just like, it wasn't, I felt like I was cheating the system, but really I was just excited for her, and I was sharing her journey, and she was just excited to bring all of her friends on board. And so in the season where I was like, I'm not going to sign anybody up, like, I'm not going to have growth, I had huge growth just through like pouring into this one girl. So you don't know how like your outreach, how far it will reach, just, it might just be that you're pouring into one person, but they're sharing their journey with like all of these other people too, whether that's their fitness journey, their nutrition journey, or, what they're walking through in their faith journey. I think sometimes we think we have to see someone from the beginning to end. And I feel like I'm referring to this in the faith journey, but like sometimes we want to see someone from the beginning to end. Like, we want to invite them to church and then walk with them through their seasons. We want to walk through them through like baptism and the things that happen after that. But like, what I've learned in my life is, you might just be there for a glimpse, and you might just be a light in that like little moment of their life, and that can be hugely impactful. And so the same applies like here. Just be excited for people, and like, if they're excited, they're showing up and they want to, share their journey too, like, great, they can, jump on board and join our team. But sometimes they just are impacting their families and, sharing their journey with their families and getting them excited about being healthy again. I had a friend yesterday who was like, we're actually moving back in with our parents because we're waiting between moving from one house to another house or whatever. She's like, my mom really needs to lose weight for like a health thing that she's walking through. And so I'm going to have her do these programs with me. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I know she's not like signing up for my team or whatever, but I know that that's outreach like through one of my girls, and just seeing them excited about, sharing their fitness journey with their family is super cool. And then I guess the last thing, don't give up on your people. Like, if they haven't shown up in a while, like, just check in on them, like, send them a message, let them know you're thinking about them, praying about them. I unintentionally have done this. It should be more structured. I was just talking with Shay about this the other day, but like, checking in on your people in the first month is huge. Like, I don't have a schedule for how I do this. I really should, but like, for the first 4 weeks, just checking in with them on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever day that, they signed up, just checking, do you need anything? Like, how are things going? Like, how's life? Like, not necessarily just in regards to like a program or anything like that, but just checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. I put 2 messages on here because they're like, one was definitely like fitness related, because this girl has been loving Shakeology, the message on the right. And so I'm always checking in on her, seeing if she needs anything. And she's just like always sharing about how much she loves the products. And so that's super cool. I love that. But at the same time, like the message on the left that I put up here, like this girl's walking through a really tough season and she thought to ask me for prayer about that. And it wasn't even really, she was exhausted and didn't want to get up and work out. But at the same time, she just like needed prayer. And so she reached out, and that's just huge, that she was willing to just be open. She's never met me. Like, it's crazy. Just think how this community can just bring us together and develop friendships that we wouldn't have had otherwise. I just have to say we have the coolest job. And I wanted to share this specific girl of mine. She has been with me for a couple months now. I think I invited her when I first started. And ironically enough, she lives like down the street from me, and I didn't know that. But this is Liz, and she gave me all the no's, like for the first probably 4 or 5 months of my coaching journey. And I was like, that's fine. Like, it's not your season, it's whatever. And I want to say like 5 months ago, she messaged me. She's like, I'm done being tired. Like, I want to sign up. I want to join your team because I need to make a change. And she has this 2-year-old daughter that is her why, I would say. Like, she really wants to just have the energy to chase her around. And we've become the best of friends. It's so crazy. Like, I called her on the phone and like we talked for a while, and it was the most awkward thing ever. But now like we text all the time, and she's like checking in with me, asking me for suggestions. And honestly, the other day she texted me, she's like, how can I be praying for you this week? And it's just so cool to see, like, going from, we just randomly connected on Instagram. She was nervous about following me because she didn't know who I was. She told me that, to see where we are now. And it's just so cool. Like, she's lost a lot of weight, and she's been so consistent in her journey. And we actually got to meet in person. I literally walked to her house and we went for a walk and just got to connect about life. And one of the biggest things we talked about was like, she's like, I've needed encouragement in my faith journey. I'm really struggling because my husband's not really on the same page as I am as far as like going to church and things. I'm like, well, you're welcome to come with me whenever you want. And so just being able to outreach like in that aspect of life, she's like, I've not been motivated in that area. And so really that's why I wanted to join this specific team. And so it has been such a cool connection to make and get to know her. And like, it's become one of the like biggest blessings of this is just getting to know her as a person and just, pour into her, but she's also pouring into me. Like, we literally text all the time. And it's not just me, it's like her reaching out and asking if I need anything. So that's been really cool. And obviously she's sharing her journey now. She's told me she's not going to coach yet, but maybe in the future. Another thing I always wanting to share is like, you really do have to show up in your own journey, even in the busy seasons. Like, I still showed up for my workouts, even though life was super crazy. And honestly, that kept me sane because I needed something for me. Even though I was videoing it and posting it, like, I needed that 30 minutes just to like have that time for me, because I knew I wasn't going to get it any other time. And so you have to show up in your own journey, have fun in your journey, and share that with other people, because that's really what's made all the difference in our group. Like, most of us, when we've started off as coaches, whether we're starting our own team or whatever, there's not a lot of hype in our group. Like, it's literally just 1 or 2 people showing up. And if you're not showing up, consistently, then no one's showing up consistently. So it's just been cool to see, like, even when times are slow in our virtual gym or whatever that might be, my goal is to still show up in my journey. And I do encourage people, like, get somebody to run a gym, like a virtual gym with you, or, one of these groups, because it's so much more fun when you can like feed off of each other, and like, it takes the pressure off you too. Like, I run our virtual gym with Leella, and it's just, we just happened to decide that we were going to run it together. It was not like planned. We were like, let's just do this and see how it goes. And so we've been doing it for about, I guess, most of my 10 months that I've been coaching. And it's been cool to do it because we can bounce ideas off each other. We're making sure each other show up, like personal accountability, and like just trying to figure out ways we can love our people better. I feel like it's a learning process daily, because some things work, in one season and then they don't work in the next, but we're always trying to come up with new ideas just to have fun in our group, whether that's like pop-up challenges or, I feel like challenges where we've teamed up people and they've gotten to know each other have been super cool. But yeah, just show up in your own journey, have fun in your own journey. If you're not having fun, then probably no one else is. And I know Shay's talked about this a lot, but like you really have to make it a place where people want to come and want to show up. And I know that even in the hard seasons and the busy seasons, like I still want to show up because I love this community and these girls. And so that has been a driving force behind all of it. And I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say. So I'm going to move to the next slide and ask if there's any questions. I feel like I talked super fast and I did not drink any Energize before that. Shay's trying to talk.
Now, can you hear me? I'm giving up on AirPods. No, I was just gonna say that was awesome, Britt. Such a good reminder to show up and do the small things and be faithful in the small things, and just trust the Lord with results. And that's not saying like it's gonna be like Britt had her biggest month. We're not saying like that's what's gonna happen, but I do believe you'll see fruit, whatever that fruit might be. So that was awesome. I wrote down like in my little personal development box, I should have gotten out a notebook because I tried to fit a bunch of notes like up in this little thing. I'm like, that doesn't work.
I will say like during the, like right before my busy season, it was probably, I think it was December. And I shared this with Courtney and Shay. I was like, I'm not seeing fruit. I feel like I'm striving. Like I'm so tired of like trying to do all the things and not seeing results. And I was like, I'm just going to give this all to the Lord. I was like, I'm just going to surrender it. I'm just going to pray about it. And if it doesn't happen and like, I need to back away from being emerald or whatever, like the ranks or whatever is not why I'm here. And so I just was like, if I can just show up and just share my journey and like take the stress off, like I'm going to have so much more fun. And so like right after I did that, like everything got better. Like I feel like I just had more joy in it and I was able to just find rest again, like not striving as much. And, you know, after I did that, then my fruitful season came. It was 2 months later, but at the same time, like I was able to be consistent in the small things through that. And that's what carried me in the busy season. So yeah, I promise I slept in that season too. Not a lot, but I did.
I love it. And I love that you said like in any situation, we have a choice. Because we do, we can show up or we can give up. And it's like I tell like you ladies all the time, it can be like this slow growth at first as a coach. Like you got to learn, it takes more time to learn things and get into the groove. But like when you start to see the fruit of like, I don't know about y'all, but like seeing Liz's picture in her personal story. And even like I was reading all those text pictures that Britt had because I'm nosy. But like even reading like other people's words and just the life change and just the way the Lord has used this community. Like don't underestimate how he can use you, but you have to make the choice to keep showing up and surrender and be obedient, even when, you know, you're not seeing the results that you want in the moment. But anyways, okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Britt, that was awesome. Does anybody have any questions for her?
I just wanted to say thanks. I feel like this was probably like one of the best things I could have heard, like right here starting out. So
Appreciate it. I feel like I was super overwhelmed starting out too. And so I would just say like, if you're starting out, like don't do what I did and get super overwhelmed. Like just start by surrendering it. Like just be praying about it. Like it feels so weird to pray over a business and like, you know, like the menial things. I'm like, help me to reach the people that need to hear some encouragement today. Like it's just super broad because I don't know what God's going to bring into my day when I'm sitting down to work at my business, you know, like I have to just be open to whatever, you know, he's going to bring in that day. And so I would just encourage you guys, like, just surrender it now and don't wait 6 months and then start, because then you have to like, I don't know. I feel like you're making up time when you could have just given your all at the beginning.
I was just about to say, Britt, do you want to change that? You're reading my mind. Okay, well, thank you so much, Brittany, for leading that and stepping outside your comfort zone. I was literally telling her, I was like, I'll never forget the night that I asked you to lead Bible study, and you're like, what? What are you talking about? Courtney too. But anyways, it's just really cool. It's really cool to step outside your comfort zone and allow the Lord to just transform you through it. And so I've seen that in Brittany over the past year, I feel like. And so super, super excited. But trying to think if there's something I was going to say. Don't forget, and we'll pray and go ahead and call it a night. But I'm going to stop recording this actually for a second.